The episode you are about to listen to is probably a moment that I will remember forever. I am about to introduce you to the incredible woman that is my mentor, Stephanie Hughson. And she's a life changer. She is one that you just want to be around her because everything she does, everything she creates, everything she is not only going to help you blow up your business, but is going to allow you to become a entrepreneur, a leader that you can truly, truly be proud of. I first came across Steph at the end of 2022. Now, Steph to me is so much more than a mentor. Now, whilst I can say many things about our guest today, I can get very emotional about her as well because she truly is so much more than a coach, a mentor to me. So I want to properly introduce you to Stephanie Hughson. Otherwise known as XOGingy, is a pioneering 8-figure coach, often referred to as the unicorn of the industry. With flair, finesse, and through 100% organic reach, Stephanie has built an online coaching practice that defies odds and continues to show people what's possible when you lead with courage. Stephanie combines savvy and simplistic approach to business strategy with cutting-edge mindset and personal power teachings. Through living her work by example, Stephanie has brought her company to over 22 million in a few short years. Stephanie took the industry by storm, leading with her heart and being guided by her intuition. Steph has helped pave the way for coaches worldwide. Steph has a distinct ability to showcase that it's possible to create elite levels of success while truly having the time of your life. She models the duality of having a lighthearted approach to success and personality development while never forgetting the importance of work ethic and foundational business strategies. She guides, teaches, and co-creates with hundreds of clients through her programs, masterclasses, year-long membership, The Collective, masterminds, and private mentorship. Steph's approach to coaching is deeply valued by her clients. I can absolutely attest to that. And she has become a guiding light for people worldwide. I'm thrilled, I'm eager, I'm enthusiastic, delighted, stoked, over the moon, pumped, ecstatic, all the words to express excited. I am beyond excited, and it fills me with such pride to introduce you to my mentor on the She Got Lucky podcast, Stephanie Hughson. Welcome to the She Got Lucky podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you. And just the fact that I get to hang out and talk to you for some time is the greatest thing. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to connect with you and your community.
Oh, I am so excited because I've always said I don't really hold back. I know that sometimes it doesn't really make sense to, promote your mentor. And I'm like, this woman is changing lives. And if I can help people do that, I'm going to tell everyone about you. So it is my absolute pleasure and delight to have you on the podcast. I actually went onto ChatGPT before the podcast today and I was like, okay, I'm going to say excited a lot. So ChatGPT, can you give me 50 alternatives to excited? And can you also give me 10 Australian slang ones and 10 Canadian slang ones? So if I pop out with some and you're like, Alicia, no one says that. Well, ChatGPT told me, Steph. ChatGPT told me.
You're going to start the trend. You're going to start the new words. It'll be fabulous.
That's what we're here to do. Set the trends. So, Steph, take us back to where this began.
How far do you want to go? No.
I know.
Where did this begin? I mean, it's so interesting. It really began for me when I had my own health and fitness journey and I was going through a physical transformation, a self-love transformation just on my own. And I was at university during the time, and this is 2012 days. And I was on this journey and I got my first iPhone. It sounds so funny to say I got an iPhone, and so one friend just says, are you going to get Instagram? I'm like, I don't know. What the heck is Instagram? Not obviously it wasn't what it is today, but I got Instagram and I started to share my health and fitness journey on Instagram, but it really just felt like I was documenting for myself. It really just felt like my form of journaling was like posting content on Instagram. And through that, I fell in love with content creation. I know you can relate to that of like, oh, this is really cool. Like, I love, like, this is a form of expressing. I started to like just enjoy that process. I wasn't thinking about gaining followers or building something. I was just like, this is really fun for me to do. And then through that, people started to find me and really resonate with my story. And again, I wasn't trying to like give value or attract people. I was just sharing my own process. But through that, people who had a similar journey were then obviously resonating with what I was posting and then following, building a connection. And then that's where it was like, I love content. I love that I'm sharing this. I love that people are resonating. All of the, like, my hobby, sharing my journey, became like my obsession. I was like, I don't care about school anymore. I don't care about studying. I just fell in love with that. And then one thing led to the next. And I built a big community, big, whatever. I don't even remember how many followers, doesn't matter. And I got to the point where it was like, why don't I create and sell my own workouts to my community? And actually it's Eric, who's my husband now, my boyfriend at the time, who said that to me. And I was like, I can make my own. And I was like, wait, I can. And then I just did it. And it was like crazy, messy action in terms of how to even design a program or sell something. But it worked because I had that relationship with my audience. And then that's really how the fitness coaching side of things began. And then it just evolved over time. But it's just such an organic thing. I wasn't trying to. It just happened. I was documenting my own journey. And then I realized I fell in love with the social media aspect of it. And what I had learned through Eric saying that to me of like, just make your own programs. That's when I really realized I can be a coach. I can take my own transformation and turn it into something that can help people. And then that's just where it all began.
I love it because I think it just stems in that story, in your journey, how it began. There's already the little seeds and that I see today that make you absolutely extraordinary. So, you know, it's already there. It was already within you. And then Eric even just saying, even just putting that idea in your head, you can do this. It's like, of course I can. So I love that. One thing that I realized is that, you know, and instantly when I started this podcast, Steph, I thought of you because you look like you're having the most incredible time in life, but you are achieving insane things. I reckon it's like, what, 0.0001% of the population, probably less, of the world are achieving what you are. And so for a lot of people, instantly, she got lucky, I was just like, oh my gosh, Steph has got to be on this podcast. Because when people see you show up, people see you doing what you're doing, it could be so easy for people to say, oh, well, she got lucky.
Yeah.
So I want to take back and think, was there a time in your journey that you can think of? Because I'm sure there's been many, but is there a time in your journey where you have achieved incredible things and somebody came along and sort of said, oh, well, that was luck, Steph?
I don't know if it was like luck. Well, I've had people say like, well, you started at the right time and your coach shared you, so that's why you have this, or like, you know, little things like that. Or even people will say like, oh, but you have an audience. And I'm like, I built the audience. Or like, oh, you are good at content. And I'm like, because I worked at it, you know, like just little things like that. And it really doesn't get to me because I know that even though, to your point, I'm having fun and I'm enjoying myself, I work freaking hard and I've worked very hard. You know what I mean? And so like those things don't really get to me because I know the truth behind of what I've done to get here.
Yeah, I love that. And it really reminds me of someone who I saw talking a few months ago. And they were like, what if someone came up and said, I hate your blue hair? And you're like, I don't have blue hair. So, and it's like, well, see how it doesn't affect you? See how it doesn't impact you? Because somebody's coming and saying something about you that's just not the truth. So it doesn't even resonate. It doesn't even sit. And I think that that is just the perfect example of that, but in real life, in the sense of, okay, it could impact you, but you won't let it.
And the thing is like people who say things like that, they're just saying it because they don't believe it's possible for them. So they have to make up some kind of story of why someone else can have it, but they can't, you know? And like that, when we understand that it's just a projection like that, it's not even anything about us. It's all about them.
Yeah, spot on. Spot on. I love it. Okay. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I'm jumping, chewing at the bits, all the things. So, Steph, there's so many things that I want to unpack, but I really wanted to choose some key points that I wanted to share with my audience because I get to experience this every week, every day. I get to experience you. And, you know, if I was taken back to where I first found you, Steph, and I love this because I found a post that you shared and it triggered the fuck out of me. Like, I was literally there being like, what the fuck? This is me. It's me.
Oh, no.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Right? That's what I was. And past Alicia would have been so triggered that she would have been like, I don't like this person. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I was like, this is what I'm missing. And I followed. I looked at your stories, saw that you had a mastermind coming up, sent you a DM, and that was the process. And I think that in a lot that you do, in a lot of the way that you show up online, it will trigger people. It will trigger people.
You know, I just need to say, I'm still kind of shocked. I'm like, but what am I doing that's triggering you? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, like, I'm just showing up. Like, is it that? Because sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? I sometimes take it as like, are you calling me mean? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not bad. I'm not mean. Like, what's triggering?
It's the fact that you're calling people out on the things that they don't want to acknowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're calling it as it is. And that's also what stands out straight away. I was like, well, this is the one. This is the one that I need. And this is the one that I did need. So
I used to be more bold. I used to be bolder when you first found me of like saying some things. But that's the thing, to your point of like when we see someone call something out and we feel that way, it's like, why do I feel that way? It's because that's a part of me that I need to work on, or that's a part of me that I need to heal, or that's a part of me that is not working well in my business and I'm insecure about it, which means I need to learn, like, you know what I mean? And so even the fact that you processed that in that kind of way and just said, this is triggering me, which means it's probably going to be good for me, let me lean in, is pretty remarkable.
yeah. Yeah. And it definitely worked out for me. So I highly recommend it. If you're listening, definitely recommend to lean into the uncomfortability of it. But have you ever found that you've watered down your message, or have you ever found that, you know, because that is something that I think you've got that power that I wish Omini had. They have so much to share, but they're just watering it down in a way that it's like they're doing Chinese whispers. What they think, what's so powerful, they're then whispering to someone else and but sharing it on their content.
You know, I really feel like my expression on social media is like a journey and constant refinement, because I've definitely said things before on social media that I actually regret saying in that kind of way. Not anything crazy, but like, oh, I can see how that was not the right way of trying to convey that message. You know what I mean? So it's just this balance of, I want to be myself. I want to say things the way that I would say it to my husband or inside of a coaching container on my social media, but also I don't want people to feel not good when they consume my content. You know what I mean? But the other thing of this whole conversation is like, I have a sarcastic humor to me. I don't take things personally when people make jokes. So it's like, I want to express that in my content, but also I don't know if I would say I water it down, but I'm just cautious because I do really care that people don't get a bad energy when they consume my stuff. So I just dance between that sometimes. Sure, we can call it watering it down, but for me, what it actually just feels like is me navigating the kind of content and the way that I speak online and what feels good to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that twist there. Steph, I think a big lesson that I've learned from you that I would love to really just infuse in my community is We hear take action before you're ready. We hear, do it when it doesn't feel comfortable. And you live and breathe this, and it's definitely a reason of where you are today. When you first invested in your coach, you were making what, 1,000 when it was a 6,000 investment? Do you want to take us back there and take us through how taking action before you're ready literally allows you to quantum leap in your journey?
Yeah. I think that even stems back before my coaching business. Like that stemmed back to my health and my fitness journey, because I was not the kid in school. I'm not good at sports. I was failing gym class, like anything active. I'm so insecure. So the fact that I decided to start to become physically active and work out, like that was terrifying for me. But I knew if I wanted to change my health and my fitness and my lifestyle, that I'm going to have to do it. And so that was really my first big act of courage in my life. And it showed me I can do something that I'm actually not good at, but I can figure it out and become stronger. And then what happened for me after that was, like, a small piece of my story is I ended up quitting university to then move home. Didn't really have a plan. That terrified me, obviously. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what the future is. This is going to be a risk, but I trusted my intuition, right? And then eventually, what you were saying is, like, the very beginning of my journey, making like less than $1,000 a month, investing $6,000 in a coach, all of these different things. And I do live by courageously confident. Like that's my brand. And what it does for us, I believe, is when we are acting courageously, we become the person who can create the result that we want. But people want to get the result before they need to act courageous. And it's just not how it works. So I've just known if I want something and I'm insecure about it, or I don't know how to do it, or there's a part of it that scares me, it just means I have to lean in and go do something I've never done before, go learn something I've never done before, make a move that's different this time. And having the wherewithal to choose to be that courageous person actually makes me the person who can create the result I'm dreaming of. Like that's just how it makes sense to me. But it comes through practicing it, because people get the concept. I get it, like move, right? But it's one thing to get it. It's another to actually live by it. And the more that you live by it in the small things in your life and the big things in your life, you build self-trust. And when you build self-trust, then it's easier to be more and more courageous, because you're like, I did this before, but in a different scenario, and I'm fine. I did this before in a different scenario, I'll be okay. And then you just become that person. And that's really what happened for me in many areas of my life, and obviously my business. But that's the courageous action part of me. And then I started to become this person that was like, just realizing if I don't be courageous, then I'm not going to change my life. And that was just like that conversation with myself of like, am I going to stay where I am in my health and my fitness? No, I'm not happy. So I'm going to change it, even though it's uncomfortable. Am I going to stay where I am in my business, not knowing what the heck I'm doing or not being successful? Well, heck no. It's all up to me. It's a choice. So if it's a choice and it's all up to me, then I'm going to choose be courageous, because what's the other option?
Love it. Because, exactly to your point. We so often want to see a little hint of, hey, this is going to work out. This is going to be yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. If you do this, you will get the result you're wanting. That's what we all crave. But we can't get that. We can't always, and some of the biggest and best risks, you literally have to go in blind. But the biggest thing that you can use, the light that you can use to get through the tunnel, is yourself. And if you say you've built your business on, your personal power, your belief in yourself, that things always work out for you. And so for anybody who perhaps is at that point where there is an option right now in front of them, there's something they could do that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do this right now. But they know deep down, this is the thing that's going to make moves. What would you say to them?
You've got to do it even if it doesn't make logical sense. You've got to trust the part of you that's not the logical mind. You've got to trust the feeling that you can't even comprehend that's telling you to go. It's just you've got to. And the thing, like, that's our intuition. And I always say our intuition is our superpower. And I believe our intuition overrides the logic. Your mind is going to say, this is why you shouldn't. This is why you can't. This is why you've got to wait. And people who live by that are people who have very like logical results. Like, oh yeah, based off of last month and this month is this, and based off of this, then you'll get this. It's very calculated. It makes sense. But the people who have quantum leaps and can sustain the quantum leaps are the people who are leading by that intuition of saying, this doesn't make sense, but I'm going to be the common denominator. And it's just something's going to happen that this explodes. It has to be that, but it's a choice. And there's going to be fear. That's the other thing. People think like, okay, I want to do it, but I'm afraid. It's like, great, let's go. They're like, but I'm afraid. It's like, if fear comes for the ride, like you just have to be comfortable doing it scared over and over again. The fear doesn't mean don't do it, And I've also found that like, just make a decision. Staying in indecision is like the worst frequency in my opinion, because it's just like, there's just no yes, there's no. So the sooner you make a decision and commit, you'll probably feel so much better because you're like, okay, this is the path, let's go. But when you're going back and forth or watching an opportunity in front of you, it's just time goes by. And that's why you feel frustrated. You don't feel frustrated because you're scared. You feel frustrated because you didn't actually make a decision.
Yeah. And, exactly right there is the point of, I think I can think of nothing worse than either, taking the action, not taking the action, or 3 months in thinking, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. The amount of energy that takes, the amount of energy that consumes from your life, who you're showing up as, how you're delivering to your clients. Like, my gosh, take the action. And some of the biggest lessons in life come because it doesn't work out the way we'd planned. But that's the biggest reward that you didn't even expect.
And that's the thing too, is like, even if you make the wrong decision, you'll learn quicker than just still going back and forth. And I'd rather have that, because then you learn faster and then you learn what the right answer would be or the right choice would have been. Like you learn all of that so much faster by making a decision, even if it's the wrong decision. But the amount of people that live their lives just thinking and wishing, and they waste so much time in fear and indecision, it actually makes me sad. Like most people live like that. And so I go to a big context with myself and I say, am I going to look back at these years in my life and be like, oh, you were comfortable and you just played it safe? Or are you going to look back and be like, I'm so proud of who you choose to be. And because of that, the good times, the bad times, the crazy times, everything in between, like, wow, what a life behind me. Because it comes back to like, this is our life. Are we living, or are you like really living, And so we're so scared. We're so scared to make a mistake. We're so scared that it's like end all be all, but it's not. Like, we're going to be okay. And I think that's the piece that I was saying before of practicing courage builds the self-trust. You show yourself, I'll be okay, even doing something I've never done before, something I don't know how to do, or even if I make a mistake, I'll be okay. But the way to actually feel that self-trust is through courage, and people are not being courageous, and sitting in that indecision, but that you've got to live by it and live by it at every level.
I know that we've spoken about this, Steph, in the sense that during COVID and over the past few years, we have seen so many people blow up. We've seen so many people blow up overnight in a few months. They've gone berserk. Their brand has gone berserk. Their course, whatever it is that they're offering. And definitely in the last year, buying into the conversation that business is hard right now. Things are hard. And I love the way that we've approached it in our mastermind, in our space, in the sense where things are hard because the validation, the results, that's not there anymore. And so when things aren't, quote unquote, working, after a while, this is where we're seeing people drop off.
Yeah.
And the difference between those who are at that point where like, oh, it's not working, so I need to give up or I need to stop or whatever, versus those who are thinking it's not working, but I know that, what I have to say, what I have to share, like this isn't a overnight thing. This is a long-term thing. So I'd love to talk a little bit about that, about what you're seeing, those who are blowing up right now, or those who perhaps did blow up, but the results aren't there anymore and therefore they aren't either.
100%. There's so many angles to this. So I do think what happened to some people is, whether they realized it or not, attached to the results at the beginning of their journey, like all the money, all the sales, all the clients, all the validation. And when that changed or went away or dipped or lowered for whatever reason, they couldn't handle that because they were like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I'm not still growing. They weren't being validated by the consistent higher and higher numbers. And because they couldn't hold that, they kind of fell off because they made it all about them. They made it all about the results, versus people who continue to blow up no matter what. It's like they're going to do this and they're going to trailblaze whether the results are validating them or not. So in a season of maybe when people are buying differently or buying less or whatever it may be, and sales go down, they don't pull the plug because they don't need the validation from the sales. They're just like, well, this is who I am and I'm not going to stop. So how do we take this to the next level? How do we innovate? How do we pivot? It's an identity thing too, as well as the attachment to the results, right? Where it's like someone who's like, I'm doing this no matter what, will do it no matter what. But other people are like, I'm doing this as long as I'm validated. Well, as soon as they're not validated, they're out. Like that's a very different person. That's a very different business. That's a very different level of success, And so I think people go through wake up calls in this journey of like, where do I really need to strengthen myself? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with realizing, wow, I was attaching my worthiness and my validation to the external. Now I'm going to work on that. Now I'm going to heal that. Like there's no shame around that. That's the other thing. But I do think building a business is a big personal development journey. You look at where you really need to work on yourself, and people are either leaning into that or they run away. And that's just the difference between people who continue to grow and people who fall off, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. And absolutely, to your point, there's, it's easy to attach yourself to the results when things are working. When things are working, it's like, I'm amazing. I'm so good at this. Everyone's loving my content. Everyone's loving my courses. It's easy to make money. And then all of a sudden, when it's not, it's easy to shift and think, oh, well, I peaked. That was me. That was the results. I'm not getting any more. Therefore, I'm bad. And I know this firsthand because I've experienced that instant result, that instant gratification of, hey, I'm doing the work and it's working. But over time, it's what you don't see behind the scenes. Even though you may not see the validation, it doesn't mean it's working. And I really, really love that. And I know that business owners need to hear that. But if you didn't let that sink in, pause, go back and listen to that again, because that's absolute gold. Stephanie Ann Hughson, ladies and gentlemen, wow. So, Steph, you are in year 7, if I'm correct. Year 7 with your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And up until coming into your world, I had yet to experience what long-term mentorship meant. So I want to open up this conversation because to me, what I thought was you stay with a coach, you stay with a mentor, you learn a lot from them. And then when you've learned what you can, you find a new mentor, you find a new coach to be challenged with, to learn from, to find a different way of doing things. And it was only when you modeled, I'm in year 7. My coach isn't the same coach she was 7 years ago. Every year she changes and every year I change and we grow together. What has that been like? And talking about how people who jump Or, and it's not to sort of say you're doing it wrong, but it is a level of cheapening the mentorship experience that you're experiencing every day.
Yeah, I love this conversation. I find it fascinating. And I wrote a post on this recently, and it made me just realize, like, wow, how many people aren't really doing mentorship the way that I think it's supposed to be done, And again, there's so many different iterations to this and different ways to do it for sure. When I first hired my mentor, I was like, I just want to go on a journey with this person. I want this person to be by my side as I'm building all of these different things in all areas of my life. I didn't really think like hop around and thing to thing. Like I just, for whatever reason, just thought, find your person and stay there, and you're going to grow together. And the more that you grow together, then your mentor is going to know you, and then they're able to support you better. You're going to go through so many ups and downs together, and that's going to build the foundation. It's going to make you stronger. Like that was just how I saw it, and I never really wavered in that. Like, it just has always felt really good for me. And I feel like why people struggle with this is they can't settle somewhere because they need to I need to see that it's working, or there must be something else, or there's someone else has a different answer, or like just shiny object syndrome. And I think that when it's that intention, you can hop around and you're never going to get what you want. And this isn't a conversation of don't have multiple mentors. I think you can have multiple mentors. I think you can stay with people short term and leave for sure. But it's all about the energy behind it. Like if someone's hopping around because they're trying to find a secret answer, they're never going to find the secret answer. If someone's not staying in mentorship because they can't just settle for a season when there's nothing crazy happening or there's no big results yet, then that's a testimony of how they can't sit with themselves, like we were just talking about in business, when there's not a lot of results. So I often think that our relationship with mentorship is a mirror for our relationship with ourselves, with our business, with money, with results, all of these different things. It's profound, but it's just so simple to me that it's really worked with me to have long-term mentorship, and I've really trusted that, and I've seen the ROI of it. And I think discussions like this are powerful, but I think that for a long-term healthy mentorship relationship to work, the client has to want to, because they genuinely feel it. They don't just think, oh, I should because it's going. And that's the other thing too, is like, don't stay in long-term mentorship just because you think you should. Do it because it's great to be here,
Yeah,
but
not
it's
because
like,
you listen to this podcast episode and you're like,
Steph
Steph is right. I'm going to do this now. And it's like 7 years down the track. You're like, Steph, not sure about that. Not sure about it.
Yeah. But it's just like I always say, and you've heard me say this, like when you find a home, stay. You find a place that's supportive for you, that feels good, that loves you, that has answers, that you can have conversations with, that sees you grow, and that works for you, then stay. And I just make it as simple as that. And it's been really rewarding for me to do that within myself, and then just notice how other people play out interesting dynamics with their coach, just in terms of just not being able to hold a long-term relationship, being triggered by your mentor, being triggered by your results or lack of results, being triggered by just a lot of people play up in that. And then that it causes the relationship to not be as beneficial as it could be. And I just do think a lot of it has to do with maturity and the ability to stay in something non-circumstantially. And people struggle with that outside of mentorship as well.
And it's such an important relationship. Yet, when it comes to our partner, when it comes to, we date, we look around to find someone who really makes us truly happy, makes us be the best version of ourselves. And the way I've learned it from you, it's similar in a sense. It's because you said, when you find your home, like that's your home. And there's the duality of, yes, it's your home, but someone could also come and say, oh, well, aren't you supposed to continue to step outside of your comfort zone? And it's like, yes, but when you are working with a mentor who sees how important it is for them to be growing, they're not staying in the same place. So your home is constantly moving, just like your partner. you and they, when you met, you're not the same people you were. You grow together, you complement one another, you allow yourselves to be the best versions of yourselves as you grow through your journeys together.
Yeah. And even it just got me thinking, like, you've been in the mastermind for a year. I'm pretty sure you've never missed a call. I don't even know. But it's like every call feels just as exciting. Even if it's a similar topic, it's a new angle on the conversation. It feels different. It feels deeper. Like, so it's like, yeah, it might not be as exciting as call one, but every call feels like I'm here. This is helping me. This is a new angle. I'm deepening that. It's like, it doesn't always have to be like, get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it's like, getting out of your comfort zone is going deeper in the place that you're at, or finding a different angle, or having a different discussion. And that's where I think people confuse it, of like, as soon as I'm comfortable here, then I should leave. But I think a lot of people can't sit with themselves to stay somewhere long term. And that's really where a lot of the breakthroughs happen. And then they miss that.
And even to the point, Steph, and I know that you've got a few key programs that you run each year. And I remember coming into your space and I thought, well, so do people join? Like, people stay around. You've got your membership and you're running some of these key programs. There's other things that are different, but you've got these key programs that come up each year and people are taking them again. And in the mastermind, we've had conversations and I bring them up again. And there's a lot of power in having similar conversations, but allowing them to land differently, allowing them to, every time, depending on a conversation that you and I had a year ago versus the same conversation that you and I have now, the takeaways, the energy behind it will be very, very different. And so I think in buying into sort of like this bigger conversation of quick results, instant validation, it's like the long term, and understanding that doing something again. I think I've taken one of your programs, I like Hot Audience. I think I've sat through it maybe 8 times now, because every time it's like a good movie. Every time it lands differently. And I really think that there's a lot of power in not constantly looking for something new, but looking for perhaps new takeaways in the things that you're already learning or taking.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Like, I really think success comes from mastering a few main things, not a bunch of different things over and over again. And that's exactly what you're saying. And where people miss the mastery, or miss the deepening, or miss like next level results, is because like, I took that course once. And so whatever, what's the next thing? Or I had that, I already talked about that. We're not going to talk about it again. But it's like, there's more. You hear it differently each time. You listen to it, you go apply, then you come back. It feels like a different experience, And so that's the other thing, is people always want like this new shiny conversation, this new shiny program, but it's like, that's not what's going to make you successful. What's going to make you successful is getting better at the main things that actually matter, and having the patience for that, or not needing there to always be something different. But even like to what we were just saying, like it always feels different. Like, you've taken Hot Audience a million times, but it feels different each time. We talk about so many different of the similar themes in our mastermind over and over again, but it's a different conversation because it's a different example. It's landed differently. You've already embodied one level of it, and now it's the next. So it's like, the thing about this too is, for me, it doesn't feel repetitive. It feels like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't learn that before. Oh my God, that landed differently. That is so cool. Like, I love the journey of it. And I think a lot of people need to surrender into what you're saying, is like, master something over and over and over and over again, right? Like, even with business, content, sales, offers, master those 3 things over and over again. What else do you need for your business? It's just that, but get better at that. And people want like, no, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. It's not. It's like, just keep getting better at those main things.
Yeah. Yep. So I want to take a sidestep to a fun conversation that I remember. I think it was probably about 9 months ago. One of the ladies in our mastermind asked this, and I was like, oh, this is a bit juicy. Love this. And Steph, you're probably sitting there being like, what was it? What was it?
What is this?
But, it's no secret that you have built a business that truly is just off the charts, building incredible wealth for not only you, but your clients as well. I think you're up to, in your business, about 22 million, Steph.
Yeah, over 22 million.
When, first of all, like Taylor Swift, we love 22. I love the number of it. So like, obviously you're going to keep going, but can we just enjoy the period of right now? But, but that is incredible, Steph.
Thank you. It's so interesting because it's crazy, but also I'm like, oh yeah, just like so in my zone that it like, oh, that is crazy. That is insane. That is like, holy crap. It doesn't land for me sometimes the way that it should. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the question that popped up that really just shifted so many things for me was one of the ladies asked, Steph, you're making more money than you know what to do with. Why, for so many people, they show up and, I want to make more money so I can support my family, support my kids, so I can buy that bag, so I can buy that house, so I can live that lifestyle. For you, Steph, it was only a few months ago that you moved into your gorgeous house that you're in now. Up until then, you guys were in this, fairly small place that I think you said Eric bought, or you bought for a couple $100,000 years ago, and that was fine. And so why for you do you keep going for more? What drive do you have for making more money?
Such a good question. But I didn't start this to make money. I started this because I just loved it. So it's like some people start it to make X amount and there's nothing wrong with that. And then they get it and then they're done. But my motivator isn't really money. Like my motivator is I love what I do. I love the creation process. I love the coaching. I love content creation. I love challenging myself. I love like seeing who I'm becoming in this process. I love all of that. And so that's what motivates me. And that's why the money keeps growing the way that it is. But it's never been like get to X income goal and then end. It just has never been my thing. Like even up until before 6 months ago when we moved, obviously there's different dynamics in that, but like, I was just so in my zone, building my business, coaching my clients. I didn't care where I was. I didn't care what my house looked like. I didn't care about anything. I was just focused on what I loved and building of such a solid foundation for my business. That's the other thing is like the financial literacy and education for a lot of people is lacking. You don't just make money once in your business and then have a lot of money forever. It's not how that works. And so I, at the very beginning, knew I wanted to build a lot of cash flow in my business, be able to put money in investments and like that. I wanted to just keep building and building and building. And so that was a motivator to build wealth, but I wasn't motivated to get to a certain level and then stop or buy a bunch of things right away, And that's just worked really well for our lifestyle too. And just our values. Like Eric and I are just very like, what matters, what's our future, no crazy rush for different things. But for the business side of things, like I feel like I've barely gotten started in terms of what I'm capable of. And I just love the day to day of everything that I do. And I just think there's something to be said about that though, that's actually what creates the money, not trying to create the money. The love for what you do and refining your craft will create more money than you can even imagine.
Yeah. And absolutely one part of it as well was because you really did, I like nice things, but, it's not what drives me. But you really put it in this way, like what you've said, and the fact that you want to get to a point where you're at now. It's not about the things, it's about the ability to not be constrained by money. So you're not making decisions because of money. And it really opened my eyes, Steph. All the ways we do things in life, the person we are, because we need to, because we don't have the money to do that, or we would love to do that to our soul would light us up, but we can't afford it, or, whatever. It's the ability to be completely true to you without letting money dictate your moves.
And that's the other piece of this that's really remarkable is like when you can get to a place financially where money is never the thing in the way, you really discover what you want or what you sometimes don't want. Like we could have bought a bunch of things. We could have moved quicker. We could have done this and that. But it just wasn't important to us, you know? And so, but the motivator I think gets to be is like build so much wealth that there's never a day where you have to like not do something because of money. And that's always been a long-term goal for me, is like any day that I had this thought, and I don't know why, but like early on in my journey, it was just like build so much that when you get to the point that you want to quit, you can, and you'd be okay. I'm obviously not there yet, but I just had this very long-term vision of just like build it so big that the day that you want to stop, you're going to be more than fine. But that I'm not building to then stop. I'm building because I love it. But the byproduct of that has just been the way the business has grown.
Yeah. So to sort of, I want to do a bit of a circle to finish. We like the circles. So Steph, we started with your journey. We started with the momentum, the build of it. And I always remember, this is something that stuck with me, is that in your first, now correct me if I'm wrong, but in your first sort of big, was it your first $1 million year that you started, and the year was like at a, you know, it was such a slow first few months, and it just blew up because the fact that you kept going despite the results not being there. So I really want to just finish the episode coming back to that, because for anyone listening who, you know, detached from, oh, this is still going to be my $1 million year, whatever, right? Detached from that, but it's more, I really want you to just share that message that you'd share yourself, Steph, back to those first few months. Things weren't going the way you wanted to, but you weren't aware of how much it was about to blow up because you weren't attached to the result. So if you could go back, Steph, if you could go back to that time, share that message with that previous version of you, what would you say?
I would say if you only knew what was about to happen, you would not be questioning anything right now. And that's what this is. It's the choice to keep going, even though you don't see the result, because things are happening behind the scenes that you can't even see. Things are adding up behind the scenes in ways that it's not possible for us to see. And the only way is to trust. And that courage conversation that we were talking about is to trust and to have the courage to keep going, even though you don't see the result. And that's really what happened for me. It was like, I've got to keep going for me, even though it feels challenging, even though it feels hard. I think that courage piece and that decision to do it, even though it was so scary, was the thing that also helped quantum leap the results. But there's going to be times in your business where you're like, I don't see anything right now, but just everything hasn't popped yet. But if you pull the plug because you don't see anything, then you're never going to see it. And that's just the risk that we have to take. And I'm so grateful for that experience and how I led myself, because every time up until now and going forward, I'll have that lesson of like, even though you don't see it now, it doesn't mean that it's not coming. But the way that it will happen is through your decision to keep going no matter what. And this is so powerful, and it sounds so simple, like just keep going, but just keep going is the freaking thing. Keep going, but with more power. Keep going with more conviction. You're going to be okay. That's why I always say, I've said it to you, I've said it to clients, like, I have no fear for you if you just do not give up and you're as convicted as you can the entire time, non-circumstantially. If you become that person, you're good.
Steph. You are one in an absolute solar system of stars. My goodness. I am so incredibly grateful that I came across you. And this is the thing, right? Is like, keep posting, keep sharing content, keep showing up, because I found Steph from that one post and it made me move. And when you decide not to post, when you decide not to show up, that dream, I'm going to claim myself as a dream client to work. Right? They may miss that opportunity to experience what you have to offer. And you truly have. The last year together has been absolutely life-changing in more ways than I can ever explain. And I won't get emotional. I could, because truly I wanted Steph to come on the podcast because she has changed my life. She's absolutely opened my eyes up in ways that I never, ever thought like was possible to things. And I'm so proud of the person I've become in your space, Steph. So I wanted to be able to share a little bit of you with my community. So for anybody listening, they're like, okay, all right, I need more of this incredible human. So socials, socials and programs, where is the best place for people to come experience more of you?
XOGingy, or it's XOGingy on Instagram. That's the best place. You'll see my daily content and just come hang out there. And that's the best way to plug into other things. But it's XOGingy on Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out, and my stories and all the things.
Ugh, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. We'll share Steph's links and everything below. But Steph, truly, you're incredible. You really are incredible. I have so much love and appreciation for you. And, you will always forever be someone who came in my journey that changed my life. So, I know that you're doing that for so many people.
Thank you. I love you so much. And thank you for having me on, and just this conversation and sharing this with your community is so powerful. So thank you.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next podcast episode. And if you are enjoying the podcast, please, 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 please leave a review. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're enjoying so that I can create more of that for you. And because I want to feature you in upcoming podcast episodes. And that's for me for now. I'll talk to you in the next episode.